That's what gets on the court's nerves. So it's a lot of things that could have happened prior to you getting here to negotiate it down, to make minimum payments or pay something.
I heard you rang the bell.
This is from a lovely sister, okay? She says her brother owes thousands of dollars in back child support. He just had a bank account frozen and they took all the funds. He has not been able to open another bank account, which he needs in order to deposit checks and pay bills. We assume he needs a lawyer to get a payment plan worked out. But first of all, he better go to a currency exchange. That's number one. And two, people have been paying bills before without the access of their bank account, meaning i.e. electronic payments. You can do your paper payments. Just saying, you can pay your bills with, we just go back and so, okay. I guarantee you they'll still take your payments. But anyway, they said they assume they need a lawyer to get a payment plan worked out. But since they cleaned out the account, that will take some time. Is it possible for them to get the amount negotiated down? How can he dig himself out of this situation if he can't open a bank account? We assume he has been frozen from opening any sort of credit account. So it's a lot of assumptions. But let me just go here. Before they freeze your bank account, before they lien on that bank account, they give you notice. And you get notice of how much you owe, and you've been ignoring them, okay? And so this is how they get your attention, because they have a right to lien on your assets and so forth to get the funds that you've been neglecting to pay. So it's a lot of things that could have happened prior to you getting here to negotiate it down, to make minimum payments or pay something. So a lot of times people will get a court order, and let's say hypothetically they owe $500 in child support, but this month it's a little tight, they can only pay $100, but they pay nothing. That's what gets on the court's nerves, is when you just ignore these things and you pay nothing. Because essentially, a lot of people are saying, I don't have the ability to pay. I have to pay all these bills here or whatever. And that could very well be true. That means when we see your bank account and your bank statements, you better not be eating no fast food. Okay? You better not make any major purchases for a trip that year. You better not do any social events. Because when you really can't make these child support payments, that means you can't do the other extra things of your daily living. So if you can, then that means you need to pay at least something. Even if you can't pay the whole $500, but you could pay $200 towards it, $300. Pay something to show that I was working to pay something, because sometimes when they see you paying something, they won't lien on your bank account. It's been when you have ignored and gotten to a certain level of owing that they start leaning on your account. They start leaning on your house. They start denying your passport application or your fishing licenses and things like that. And you can't get access to these things. And then all of a sudden now, what do you do? What can you do? Well, at this point, to be honest, going back to the old way of doing things, you can go to the currency exchange. If you're asking how can daily living continue, or he needs to endorse those checks over to somebody who has access to a bank account and have to utilize them for a minute to figure it out until he gets this situated. But they're likely not going to negotiate this down, because whatever they took out is owed for a total amount that he's obligated to pay. They're not going to give him that back. So now he's going to have to establish, and yeah, it gets a little harder to do that, but he's going to have to figure this out first in order to do. So that money is gone. Now you need to probably just figure out what is now owed and get on track to paying it. If there's been a substantial change in circumstances since that child support order was entered, meaning his job is different, he's not making the same amount of money, he has additional children now, whatever the case may be, he needs to then bring a proper motion to modify that child support based on what his current circumstances are. So if that's what needs to happen to kind of get relief, then he needs to seek that. Or even if it says, okay, I'm under some pressure, I need to just abate this because I got life happening right now. Like, some people have various deaths happen in the family back to back that they have to stop and support, sicknesses, they've been on disability, whatever the case may be. You can file motions to abate child support. Now, an abate doesn't mean that it doesn't accrue, but it means that when they don't see you paying, they won't take action because it's abated and they're not seeking your payment at this time because you've let the court know life is happening. There's a lot of different things that you can do before you get to this point. And I see in this case, those things have not been done and they were overlooked and essentially ignored until they now got your attention of getting that back, of running that money.